Hi guys! So today I am going to be talking a bit more about social media management. So those of you that checked out my first video on how to become a social media manager, we're just continuing the series a bit more on social media marketing. Those that haven't checked it out and are curious, I will link it here. And I am currently sat in our new office, which is super exciting. It's taken us so long to actually finally do it, but it is beautiful. So I'm going to get started right into it because it's boiling and I don't want to have the fan in the background. So it just means that I'm going to be talking super fast. So social media management, what I'm going to be discussing today is agency versus in-house, and I might touch a little bit on freelance, but they're the main points. So those of you that are interested in social media management or are in it, I thought I would talk about the difference between working in an agency and working in-house. Now, full disclosure, I haven't worked in-house, so my experience is more in agency and freelance. However, there are some general things that you find in-house, and I have friends that work as social media managers and in that industry in-house as well, so I have gained a lot of knowledge from them as well. But I just wanted to be completely honest. So agency work tends to be that you get to work with lots of different clients, is quite fast paced, very quick for learning. So I started in an agency which helped build up my skill set. You're working with lots of different clients, even if your agency has a niche. So for example, the agency I worked at had the majority of the clients were FMCG, which are like consumer goods, but ended up being mainly food, basically. Even within that, there's so much difference between, say, Michelin star food to sliced bread, which is literally covering two of the clients. So I was working on Tom Kerridge's social media management and Hovis. Hovis, I was more the main point of call for Hovis. Tom Kerridge, I was helping the team with that because he's such a huge client. So a lot of those were brainstorms and it was the whole agency, because we're quite a small agency working on those, so not solely me. And you get a huge variety with that, which is good for some people and how they work. So I like being able to switch between different clients. It just keeps things interesting and the creativity flowing for me. However, it is also very stressful in comparison because you're having to switch between tones of voice, different products, different goals, different clients, and lots of deadlines. There tends to be in agency a lot of work on. A lot. I can't emphasize this anymore. Agency, because there's just so much going on, is a lot of work and can sometimes be not as well paid for the amount of work in comparison to in-house. This isn't to say this is like a hard rule, because there are some agencies that pay amazing, some that don't. Same as in-house, that in-house tends to pay better because it's in the company, so there tends to be a marketing budget, and quite a lot goes into having one person or two people on social media management, which means there's more money to spare to hire someone and give them a better salary. However, again, it is literally a case by case because that isn't always the case. So agency, very fast paced, great for beginners because you get to learn a lot. There's usually people who are also in social media management in the agency, which means there's a lot of people with different experience that you can learn off of. So for example, I have worked with people that have had years of experience in social media management, and those that have had backgrounds in PR or creative backgrounds, so graphic designers who have changed into doing social media management. I went from film and TV to doing social media management, so there's things that I add as well. It's just different experiences, different life skills, different skills in general that you can learn from a lot of people in agency, and you build up a massive portfolio quite quickly because you're working on so many clients. So in terms of workflow, I definitely recommend it for people who are starting out, because you build a massive portfolio, learn from other people, and basically get thrown in to end up doing the job. However, for those that don't like the stress and prefer to focus on one thing, I still would recommend agency to start with, just to hone those skills, because honestly, there is nothing better, and there are so many people you can ask questions to that have been in the industry from time, which isn't always the case in-house. As I said, it's usually better paid, not always the case, but usually. And you focus on one brand. There's usually like a whole marketing team. Again, not necessarily, but there's usually a team of marketing. However, you might be the only person who's doing social media management. So this is why and again, this is my opinion. This is not to say that this is the set rule, that this is what you should or shouldn't do. This is just my opinion. But I think for beginners, it's better to go into agency for the reason that there's not always loads of people there that have done social media management, so asking questions can be quite difficult. There might not be anyone to answer them, and it can be very much that you're on your own. You've got one brand then on your portfolio, but yeah, down the line, if that's your way of working, that you prefer to focus on one client, knowing the ins and outs of that company because you are in it, which, having worked in an agency, I can definitely see the benefit of that, because being external, you don't always know all the activities going on in the company until they can share it with external. Whereas being in it, obviously you'd hear, because you're in an office or whatever, you're in the company, you're going to hear it anyway. But I definitely feel like in-house can have its benefits. So one of my friends works in-house for a company, and they have like all of the new products she hears about as it's happening. Before it happens, there's so much that she gets to have conversations in throughout, and there's ways of like budget being set for socials and having part of that conversation for the company. Not always, like it's not always the case, but there's more of a chance compared to being in agency. And I'm trying to think, I think that kind of covers it. I wanted to also open up for questions, so I can do a second video on this, because this is just kind of an overview, but please feel free to leave your questions or comments below. And also, if you wanted to ask anything, message me on Instagram or TikTok, which is @MayaKipping, and I'll be happy to answer them. I can do it in a video or literally send you a message, either way. But as I said, my experience has been in agency and freelance. Freelance, I would definitely say, is similar to agency. You tend to have a lot of clients that you're working for. However, outside of agency, you are doing like everything as a freelancer, depending on what you're offering, but you tend to be you write the captions, you do the graphic design, you do the photography, you do everything start to finish. Again, depending on what you offer, because you can always team up with someone. The brand can provide you the imagery if that's how you want to work. But that is basically the sort of difference between in-house and agency work. Also, let me know in the comments if you've worked in agency or in-house, or you're thinking which one you're thinking of working in. And say hey, little freelancers. I say little, but say hey, freelancers. I want to shout you guys out too, because freelance is like a mini agency for yourself, that you're having to do everything. So this is not to discredit at all. I just thought it's worth having the conversation for those that aren't wanting to do freelance, whether it's yet or just starting out in social media management, and wanted to share a bit of insight into which path you could go down and what each path looks like. Yes, sorry, also there is possibility of moving up as well, because there's not necessarily many people in that department, that you could end up managing quite a lot and having quite a lot of freedom in that sense. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up, and I will be doing more social media management videos, little tongue twister, in the future. So please subscribe if this interests you. Again, any questions, anything, hit me up. My social media is linked below, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!